You're all very welcome. The 26th of May is our 10th live broadcast. I hope you're all keeping well and keeping yourselves busy, and plenty of gardening work to be done this time of the year. So last week we had our Scotland images. I think everybody did a great job in presenting their own images. And for those people, you know, it was quite daunting for some, obviously, because it was their first time ever presenting anything to the club. So well done, great selection of images, guys, and hopefully we can get off again somewhere next year when things are more in our favour, and get some more great images together. Tonight it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a fellow SACC photographer. He's Pakie O Donoghue. Pakie is an LIPF. He's a member of Blackwater Photographic Club. Pakie is the present holder of the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year. Now, Pakie has been lucky enough, well, maybe not luck, but he's good enough to have won this title twice. He won it before in 2017 as well. So congratulations, Pakie, on winning that title twice. Very well done. I think it's a statement of where you are with your nature photography. Now, Pakie is also going to show us his LIPF panel this evening. So I'm really looking forward to this. Pakie has been involved in photography since the 1970s, and he's been club member. He was awarded his LIPF in 2016, and as I say, he's the present Nature Photographer of the Year for the SACC. So without further ado, over to Pakie.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Cork Camera Club for inviting me on to do this video link. And a big thanks to Charlie O'Donovan and also to Tim Murphy for all the technical stuff. What I'm going to show you tonight is images that I like taking. I do all kinds of photography, except composites at the moment. I might do a few this year, with the help of God. So let's get started. And I'm showing two folders of images tonight. The first one is a mixture, and the second one is wildlife and nature. This image, I started taking interiors of old houses probably a good 10 years ago now. What inspired me was Morgan O'Neill, and the hunt to chase down these fantastic old houses is probably a skill in itself, and then to get into the old houses and start taking these images. So thanks to Morgan O'Neill for inspiring me for this selection of images. This is an image I took, I suppose about 25 miles away from my own house here in Mallow. But when I walk into these houses, like, you know, it just amazes you, like, you know, what you can find in these. I found two lovely suitcases on the table, like, you know, and I said, look, definitely there's a story in this, like, you know, somebody probably packing the suitcases and left the suitcases and went away. Now, I took this image with a Nikon D7000, and I just explained the settings. The ISO for this one was 100. Aperture was f9. I shot it on an 18-105 lens at 18 millimeters for 2 seconds. So that's the first image. Again, staying with the theme of old houses. This again is an image I've done very well in a few competitions with. Again, it's an image. I try to explain to people that when you see the image on the screen, It's completely different on the print. The print is actually fantastic. Hopefully down the line, when all this COVID-19 is finished, I'll get up to show you the image on the print. It'll be a better image on the print for me. You know, on digital, it's okay, but the print is fantastic. Now, again, staying with the theme of the old houses, this is another house I found. Actually, the bike was actually at the opposite side of the room, so I just got the bike and put her over there just by this little window, and this holy picture, nearly 99.9%. Every old house or in a room has holy pictures. This is another, as you can see, the holy pictures, if you could count them, one, there's one upside down, 2, 3. This is amazing. The excitement that I get when I goes into these houses, like, you know, to see what's there, and 99.9% of them I don't touch. I just leave the stuff there. Don't try and move it around, because you're taking from the actual image. And actually, if you look at the door where the bicycle was in the room, that's the same house, but I just closed the door. This is another image. One of our members in the club, I asked them if they came around any old houses around their own area, like, you know. And in fairness, this lady approached me and she said, "Look, there's this image inside in this house we have to take." And I said, "Yeah, under no circumstances would anybody find this house. Like, it's about maybe a mile inside in the wood. I would have never found it." And in fairness to her, she got permission. And that's one thing when I do go into these old houses, is I do look for permission. And if I get it, so be it. And if I don't get it, so be it as well. As long as the person that gave me the permission to go into the house is happy with that, I'm happy as well. So if a knock came to the door, they'll ask, well, who are you? Like, you know, well, I say, I can get permission to come in and photograph these houses. Now, this is an image. I had the opportunity in getting into this house 2 days before it was demolished. And it's just like somebody walked out of this house and just left it the way it was. You can see there on the right hand side, or what I'm looking at the screen is on my right hand side, is a holy statue there, and they must have bought it because the plastic is still on it, and just left there. It is amazing, like, you know, just I don't know who lived in this house, but probably it was back in the 70s or 60s again. We're back to holy pictures, statues, crosses, candles. It's amazing what you can find in these houses. But again, I don't touch anything, like, you know, because just in case the people want to come in and they want to take the stuff out of their houses before they're demolished, so be it, like, you know. This house is only 20 yards away from me, and I spotted this child's pram in the house, and I found out who actually owned the house, because when we moved in, I asked the girl, "Any chance I can have a loan of your she is now 55. I said, "Is there any chance I can have a loan of your pram? I just want to take a photograph inside in the house that you were born in." And she said, "No bother." So she had the pram in another room, so I just brought her into this room where the holy picture was there. And I think it's a lovely, lovely image, lovely. And I still have the pram because she never came back for it. So hopefully someday I'll meet her and I can give her back the pram. 99.9% of the houses that I go into are vacated, right? But actually, as I call a live house, there was actually a person living in this house. And just through a contact of mine, asked me would I come and do a photograph. The person that was in this house had a fire in the kitchen and asked me would I take a photograph of the chimney breast because they wanted the insurance. So I said I would. So I was amazed when I went into the house. You can see there's a radiator here on my left hand side when I look at the screen again. All the pictures, like okay, it's a little bit dark. The room was dark, but down at the end of the bed there was a leather kneeler, and then the person who said their prayers there every night. So actually it was a live house, as I'd call it, like it was. But every room was different, like, you know. So I was thrilled to get into this one, and unfortunately the person has passed away since, and people that got the house cleared it all out. So I have some nice images of this one. Yeah, it's amazing what you will find in houses. A matchbox, Maguire and Patterson's, a large print mass book, and holy water. In the house that I was left into in 2 days was demolished. I picked up this matchbox and I was inside and put a brooch. Must have been hide it or something. So I forgot it was there, but I opened it and I just put it up in the thing, up in the dresser that was there, and I left it the way that I found it in, so that the people could see it, and they probably might keep it for keepsake because it was probably a brooch from their grandmother or their great grandmother. Another one of these beautiful houses. This image, again, there's a big story to this, but I can't. I'd be here for about 2 or 3 hours tell you about this one. But I take photographs the way I see them in the old houses. This one, I call this one a timepiece, because you have the clock, and again you have the holy picture. And some people ask me, why didn't you clean up around the front where the chair is and tidy it up? But I think that's taken away from the image. I like to leave it as is, as photographed. Mightn't be everybody's cup of tea, keep the place clean, but or tidy it up, but I like it the way it is. Getting away from the old houses teams, I do a lot of motorsport. I suppose I've been photographing rallies and motorbike races since I was in the 1970s, 75, 76, 77. Started off with a small little pocket camera, trying to get the best I could out of these little things, like little cameras with flashes up on top of them, like, and send them off into the chemist, get them printed and come back and there's nothing in them. I suppose everybody is the same, like, starting them off that time, but I hope I've progressed from there, like, so there's a little track up in the Ballyhowers, and it happens there every May. Unfortunately, this year it's cancelled now, like, because it's the English and European Championships, and they come over to Ireland and they race around this track. It's absolutely fantastic. It's worth a trip just to go to see it alone, like, and 99.9% of these cars are actually motorbike engines in them, so it's well worth a trip to get to this scene. Next, I shot this with a 70-200 2.8 Nikon lens on a D800. I actually had a 1.4 converter, so it got me from 200 to 340. I think my ISO was probably about 800 to 1000, and I reckon I was about 5.6 to 6.3. I'd say my shutter speed was definitely 1:2000 of a second to freeze the action. It is pin sharp. Fantastic lens, like, you know, for this job, like, you know. And you can nearly see all the detail. You can nearly see their face. You can actually see their faces inside in the cockpit of the car. You can zoom in. You can see them, like, you know. But I dug out this little place just through another friend of mine said that this area there's a beautiful jump, so we can go on to the next one and they can see it again. This one is probably a better shot again, like, you know. Again, 70, 200, 2.8, and these guys are traveling at maybe 120, 130 miles an hour, like, you know. And again, just pin sharp, like, you know. You can see the boys. There's one guy here with a red, just on the right hand side of my screen now. There's a guy there with a red jumper, and he has a speed gun. And I'd say he's checking the speed of that coming up in the air, like, you know. So again, just pin sharp. You have to find these locations. There wasn't many. These two guys here on the right hand side of the image, and on my left hand side here, I was actually hanging out over a wall. So it's hard enough to find these jumps, but when you can get images like this, it's well worth trying it out, like, you know. This is another image of a track that's not too far away from me. It's in the Ballahorras. It's a fantastic day to be out there, like, you know. It's back again. It's supposed to be on May this year, 2020, but unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, all these things are all cancelled. But it was on last year. It's the UK version. They come over from the UK and they race in this track. Absolutely fantastic. All these cars are hand built. Each one of those they're not car engines, they're motorbike engines. So it's absolutely fast and furious. It's well worth a visit now. I have got, hopefully, when it comes back in 2021, no, where I was shooting this was a way back, like, but I've got access now into the circuit itself. So hopefully I'll get some better images in 2021, but there's nothing wrong with these ones, like, you know. But where I was standing, these images are good too, like, and they are pin sharp, like, and I probably took that with 70-200, 2.8 with the 1.4 converter. I do a lot of fairs, horse fairs. I like photographing elderly people. This particular gentleman was back in Puck about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I spotted him coming in the gate, and he was with another chappie, and I followed him around the Puck for about an hour, and I said, look, I have to come up and I have to ask him, could I take his photograph? Because I don't like shoving the a lens into these people's faces without asking them first of all. So I actually asked this gentleman, could I take his photograph? And his exact words, he said, nobody ever asked me, he says, can I have my photograph taken? There's always the man, he said, next to me, they ask. But I said, I'm asking you today, I said, and I'll make you a promise, I said, the following year I'll come back, I said, and I'll give you a print of that image. So I took his photograph, and the following year I spotted his mate coming in the Puck fair again into the field, and I asked him, is your friend with you? And he said, he's on the way. And I was delighted. I met him with his nephew, and I presented him with a lovely image of himself, and the man nearly started crying. So I was delighted that I gave him that opportunity to see himself in an image, like, you know. So I was thrilled with it myself, and we all got photographs taken with him again, like, you know. So staying with the team with the horse fairs again. I think this one was taken in Carramee in Bodefant. I have entered in a few competitions. No, I don't think he got on well, but I like the features in this man. A rough face, like, you know. There's lovely detail in them, like, you know. Again, horse fairs. Again, if you ask these people, they're more than willing to let you take their photographs. And I get to know them now because I travel around to all the horse fairs. And in 2020, some of the horse fairs are cancelled now, like, you know. So hopefully I'll meet all these people again in 2021. Now, this is an image I took in Carramee in Bodefant. Now, it's a pencil effect that I gave it, and this was actually one of many images that I sold to a few public houses and a few restaurants in Bodefant because it depicts the horse fair day, and it sold fairly well for me, like, and I'm delighted with that one, like, and I like that kind of effect. Now, again, it mightn't be everybody's cup of tea, like, you know, but to me, it looks well and it prints well. I got it printed on pearl white, beautiful paper, and it printed beautiful. Again, getting back to the horse fairs, this was in Spancel Hill last year. I see this guy. He was talking. He was talking to the horse. I think they're asking him, "Will he come along?" So I said to him, "I said, is there any chance you'll give the horse a kiss?" And in fairness, now he obliged, and I called this one the horse kisser instead of the horse whisperer. I changed it to black and white because I think it works better in black and white. I spotted this guy coming in the gate, and I said I'd let him settle down for a few minutes, and I will approach him and I'll ask him, can I take his photograph? And he obliged, no bother whatsoever. As I said again, if you'll be nice enough to these people and ask them, can you take their photograph? 99.9% of them will say yes. Very, very limited will say no, like, you know. And I get to meet him quite often. Then, like, you know, I'd probably get a nice print of this man now, and like Spencer Hill is supposed to be on in a couple of months' time, but unfortunately it's cancelled. So I'd have an image for this guy because I would like to give it to him because the detail in his face and the mad hair and everything, like, you know. So hopefully I'll get to meet him. And just for people might ask, what kind of a lens do you use? I used on this guy now, I used a 70-200, 2.8, and my ISO was 250. My f-stop was 3.2, and my shutter speed was 1 to 1/800 of a second. And I call this Mick the Second, this guy. This is another image from Carramee in Bodefant. I know a few photographers there in Cork Camera Club have taken this man, I'd say, at Carramee. Nice chappy. Again, the detail in his face. That's what I was trying to capture, like, you know. I haven't seen him now in the last 2 years at Carramee. You know, hopefully he'll be there. Well, he can't be there this year because it's cancelled. Hopefully I get to see him in 2021. This is another horse fair. This is in Abbeyfield, County Limerick. It's a small fair, but it's a nice day. It lasts for about 6 or 7 hours, like, you know. It's on the street. I just like there's great detail on his jacket, and I think he was carrying a bale of straw at one stage, or hay to the horses, like, you know. So again, I asked him, could I take his photograph, and he said no bother whatsoever. So again, I probably took him in a 70-200, 2.8. I do all my kind of portraits I should have a Nikon D800, and probably again it was at 155, but I actually cropped that in the square crop because it looked better in the square crop. This chappie, I spotted him and we kind of leaving in the afternoon from Spencil Hill, and I just spotted the little puppy head in his hand, and I asked him could I take his photograph, and he said, "You have 5 seconds," he said, "to take my photograph, and you're not taking any more." Well, I said, "Thank you very much. I'm going to take your photograph now." And I shot off about 10 frames, and he said, "You're having no more," he said. And so I, "Thanks very much." This man was in Spencil Hill again, but I call this one Best Friends. Again, at a horse fair, I think this was in Puck. And I said, you know, I'll try and do something different. I spotted these guys with rings and sticks, and I said, so I was taking portraits. I'll take pictures of hands to see what they come out like. And I changed this to black and white. Oh, okay, the ring will probably show a red stone, like, you know, but I think it works well in black and white. Again, it's something unusual, like, you know, I probably didn't have the 70-200 2.8 on with me that day, and I zoomed in just to get the hands. I like it. Probably some people mightn't like, but we'll do a small bit of seascape. This is a shot I took in Dingle many moons ago, and I call this the Lone Stone. I actually got an acceptance and salons with this one. I think I got a silver medal in the SACC. Got a few more things. It's as I said, many moons ago, but I just like the flow of the water. I think it was down to maybe half a second for that, like, you know, just to get the movement. The famous sunbeam in Ross Bay in Killarblin, back that country. Now, I took this image on my knees. The water was coming in over the wreck of the boat, and I took that ISO 100. Aperture was f14. Again, this is another image of the sunbeam taken at a different angle. Took it way back. I actually liked the black and white version of this. I copied it over to color to black and white because I love the detail in the sky and the slow shutter speed. I think I took this at about a half a second, like, you know. It has done well for me in a few competitions many years ago, like, you know, but this sunbeam is not here and is not there anymore, unfortunately. So it is nice for the people that have the images of the sunbeam, and it's unfortunately for the people that don't have them. So I like that one in black and white. This is a shot in Menard Castle in Dingle. I like the movement in the clouds. In this shot very early in the morning. It's a bit of a trek to get down to it, but if people know it. There's big boulders on the, as we're looking at the screen now, there's big boulders on the right hand side. You have to climb over them to get down, and I probably did have a grad in the sky, and I probably had a tree stop on the water, like, you know, because I just like the movement, and it worked out nice there. I like this image, like, you know. I haven't entered in any competition or anything, like, you know, but I just like the image myself, like, you know. And again, that's what matters. If you like the image yourself, fair enough. Now, it mightn't be everybody's cup of tea, like, you know, but to me, I like it, and that's to me that's good enough. There's a story to this image. I was actually in Dublin visiting a brother-in-law of mine, He was getting a 5 bypass, and when he was having his operation, we were told he'd be in there for 6 or 7 hours. So we said I'd walk away down in Dublin, and I said I'd chance a few panning shots, and there's a little slope down down where from the hospital. And I said, my God, I said, this is a great opportunity. I'll do a bit of panning. And it worked out for me well. I won't say it was my first time trying it, but I've tried and I failed, and I've tried and I failed. But I got an image printed once upon a time from my L panel, and I kind of took the settings from that. And it is in color and black and white, but I actually love the black and white version of it, like, you know. So I would suggest to everybody, go out and try and do a bit of panning, like, you know. It's another challenge, another bit of photography, like, you know. So again, I changed it to black and white, and to me, it works better in black and white. I know colors are beautiful, like, you know, but because it's more motion, I think, in black and white. This image was on my L panel. Again, a couple of years ago. I suppose I'm doing photography since the 70s, but yeah, I only went for my L there a few years ago, and this is one of the images that was on my panel, and they were all saying to me, how did I get so close to this guy? Well, it was a surf wave in a hotel. And actually, I took this with my D7000 18-105 lens, a kit lens, and I actually probably took the good bones of 800 or 900 images of this, not this particular surfer, but the surfers that were doing it, like, you know. It was called a wave surf. So actually, this one worked out very well for me, like, you know. So this image made my panel for my L. We get into something different again now. A friend of mine, John Milan, asked me would I do a bit of photography with him, reenactments, and I said I would. So he's friends, very friendly with a couple of these guys, and he said, would I come down and give him a hand? I said I would. And I actually asked the boys would they pose. So they said they would. And we took a few images of them during the day. It was a great day out. They do whatever you want them to do. It's pose with the guns to your face, or fellas falling down or whatever. So I said I do one whole image for them, like, you know, and I did a bit of work on this now, kind of a HDR effect kind of thing, but it worked out. I think it's a lovely image, and they were all delighted with it, and actually they use it in their, they have their own page, and they use it for a cover image for the page. And you could go to the next one, and I actually changed to black and white then. There's a black and white version of it. And next, you'll be able to see this one now. And to me, again, I just changed it to black and white. I think I like the color version myself. No, it's just a preference of choice. Again, I left it as is. I gave them the black and white and the color, but they went for the color. So you could jump between the two of them, like, you know. So it's up to, again, if you like it in color, so be it. If you like it in black and white, so be it as well. So look, I gave them the two images, and they were happy with the color one. So I was happy with that myself. So, and they've good detail in their faces and things, like, you know, and they were happy. So that's the main thing. Okay, I'm a member of the Blackwater Photographic Society, and we do have teams photography. We try and help the newcomers, and we do a couple of nights in the club. And one particular night was a still life night, and We set up a backdrop and brought in a bit of fruit and a bit of flowers and a little bit of a churn, and we put them together, and we took a few shots from them, and this is one of my shots I got. It actually makes a fantastic print. Hopefully, when all this COVID-19 is finished, that I'll get up to Cork Camera Group and I will show the image in a print. The colors are fantastic. It works well, But that's just a workshop night. Probably could do it at home, but we did it in the club. So it worked out. It worked out good for me, and worked out good for the rest of the club. This is a shot I took 2010, and this shot has done very, very well for me in sales. This is a shot of the spa house in Mallow. I say the spa house. Yes, there is a well in the middle of this house, and the spa springs. Now, it's a kind of a painting effect I put on it, and it did very, very well. It's probably one of my most popular images for sale. I do kind of a few exhibitions every year, and that's the one they kind of always pick, and people have picked this image for presentations to well-known Mallow people. So I'm thrilled with this image. I'm delighted that it's selling well. It'll just buy another few things for the camera, so that's what it's about. And I print it actually makes a beautiful print on that pearl white paper. Hello, we're on our second part of my image displays. We're into the nature wildlife section, and this first image back in 2018, I introduced image in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year, which I took home first prize. My first time winning this section. I took this on a Nikon D800. The ISO was 800, f4.8, and 1:2000 of a second. What made it for me, I think, was the feathers. A lot of people might leave them in, or take them out, sorry, but I left them in, and it worked. So it took the major prize on that day, and I was thrilled. A bit of a shock, but I was thrilled, and that's the sparrowhawk, and that was taken in Scotland. Next is a pine martin. This shot was taken in Glory Hides. It was a fairly cold morning. Temperatures were way down. As you can see, there was snow and ice. We eventually made it to Glory Hides, and actually this pine martin on a stage for about 5 to 6 minutes, and we didn't see him all day after that. So I was lucky to get this shot. That was a pine martin. Undoubtedly one of probably my best shots, and probably one of the best shots I like myself. This is of a kingfisher, just flying out of the water after catching a little minnow. Entered this in a few competitions. Did okay. I think wasn't anything spectacular. I reckon the judges weren't happy with the kingfishers at the time. I think there was too many of them in the competition, but that was my last shot on the day in Scotland, and to get this image, I was thrilled, because I love this bird, and the colours are fantastic. This is another shot of kingfisher. Again, this is the new hide that's in Scotland at Alan McFadden's. You could actually really eat your dinner off the floor there. It's so clean and everything, and you can actually park your car and just step out of the car and step into the hide. It's absolutely fantastic. Well worth a visit. I think a few members of the Cork Camera group have been to Glory Hide, or sorry, to Scotland, and probably have availed of this hide. Why we all go to Killarney is for the rutting season, and this is here on my doorstep in Mallow. There are white deer. This is taken in the castle in Mallow, one beautiful, crisp, frosty morning. I just love the colours, colours in the trees, and some people said that you put this, that you turn the deer the same way. I said the two deer just stood when I was taking this image, and I just love the colours, and the white deer is different. So there's only two sets of white deer in Ireland, and one of them is Mallow, and I think the other one is in up the Midlands somewhere. But this is taken in Mallow Castle. Back to the kingfisher again. I love this bird. Love the colours. Spectacular specimen. I just love the way he's just after catching the fish in the beak. Actually, I'd say he was only about 2 to 3 feet away from me. This is my first ever time photographing a kingfisher, and I was thrilled to get this one, and he is pin sharp, and it's well worth a visit to Scotland. As I said before, a few of the members from Cork Camera Group have been to Scotland. It's well worth a visit. Okay. I have seen on Facebook, and I've seen, I heard it on the radio, that there was 23 of these buzzards poisoned down in East Cork or somewhere. These are one of our most popular birds of prey here in Ireland, the buzzards. Actually, when I was on a trip to Scotland, this guy flew into where the hide was, not knowing that he was coming to there. I shot off a few frames, and I think this is one of my best shots of that day. This is a shot of a woodpecker, again on a trip to Scotland. Again, never seen one before until I went to Scotland. But I think, as far as I know, there's a few of them now back in Killarney National Park, and there are some in Wicklow. It is great to see these birds coming to our shores. To save us heading to Scotland to see them again. If we can get to see them in Killarney National Park, which is only about 20-25 minutes, 30 minutes the most from me. So it'd be great to capture them in Ireland, in Killarney. This is another favourite image of mine. This is actually taken back in Killarney for the rutting season there about 3 years ago. I actually happened to be there very, very early in the morning. I probably was there for maybe about 5:30. Made my way to this lake, and lo and behold, this guy came out of nowhere, and it just happened to walk straight past me, and it was like a miracle. The colouring is fantastic. The reflection, absolutely fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better morning. I've got a couple of shots of him, all right. But this is probably my best one. I put this one into the IPF Nature Group. The the south of Ireland, and it was accepted in a competition with them to take on the north of Ireland, and I got a certificate for it. I was thrilled with that. My first time entering in the IPF group, so I was thrilled with that one. Again, get up early in the morning, down to Killarney, you probably might get these shots. I probably didn't say what I took that last shot with, but the shot of the deer, it was ISO 500 f9, 1:250th of a second at 120 millimeters on the lens, 70-200. We'll get onto this image now. It is again, it is in Alan McFadden's hide in Scotland. It is a squirrel reflection. It's my first time getting to the reflection pool. Absolutely fantastic, like, you know. You know, I like squirrels, like, you know, especially the red ones. Like, I don't know, I don't fancy the grey ones, but I just like this image. Like, the reflection is beautiful, like, you know. What more can I say about it? Is there's a little story with this one. My fellow photographer, Valerie Walsh, she does a lot of the driving, and we were in Killarney a couple of years ago, and we were walking in the national park, and all of a sudden we heard all this rumbling around, and we said we'd investigated it, and there was a few fellow photographers there as well, but we came up to this huge tree in the middle of the national park, and we see this guy rolling around in the mud. He is fairly sharp, like, you know, and we kind of snuck up on him. I forgot to show the photograph of me hiding behind a big tree, taking this image, but he noticed me, and he didn't hang around for about 2 or 3 minutes only, and he took off like the clappers. But I shot off a couple of frames, and he stunning animal just to be alongside alone, like, and I was only maybe 2 feet, 3 feet away from him, like, you know, and absolutely stunning, like, you know. I should have put in the other photograph to show you how close I was, because my friend Valerie Walsh, she took the image of me behind the tree. This is an image I had on my L panel. Yeah, it just I can't say much about this image, only that he's good and sharp. And again, I printed him on a pair of white paper, and it worked well. The image sat on the paper lovely, like, you know. Now I started something here. Maybe I suppose it's over 12 months ago now, maybe 18 months ago. I started doing something different with a bit of wildlife. Actually, these are seagulls. I got a seagull study. Now, I could probably make up a panel with these, but now this mightn't be everybody's photography, but I like doing this. I spotted something on Flickr once upon a time, and I said, oh, it just was amazing. And I said, look, I'll try and I'll do something like this. So this is a very slow shutter speed. No, the purists out there say you'll have to have that pin sharp, and you must have it. Everything must be in focus. But to me, it doesn't have to be in focus. Well, again, this is my new style of photography for seagulls. Right? I'll tell you what I took this. My ISO was 200. My f-stop was 10. My shutter speed was 1/25th of a second. at 105 millimeters. I had an 18 to 105 on a D7000. Now, this I have entered in a few competitions, but the judges don't seem to like these kind of stuff, like, you know, but I don't mind because I like it. Some other people like it, some other people hate it, but I don't mind because I like it, and that's what it's about. This is staying with the team of slow shutter speed. Again, I just like the movement of these birds. Now, again, as I said, the purists would like them pin sharp and thing, but I like them out of focus because that's the way I shot it, out of focus. To tell you where I took it above in Cork City, down at the where all the seagulls, where the people feeds them there. I took them down there, and you can see just right up in the very top of it, you can see the colours of the houses and the shops, and there's a few cars there. I'll tell you what, I used ISO 400, and I went to f22 at 1/25 of a second at 140 millimeters. So that I would have taken that with my 70 to 200, 2.8. I just like, I love it. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I like it. And that's the main thing. Again, staying with the theme of slow shutter speed for the seagull study, as I call it. I just saw this image. I don't take out stuff or put in stuff into images. I shoot them as is. If I like, I think it works well in black and white. I once I did a whole lot of work into it, like, you know, but as I said, I changed it to black and white. And them tree birds were, that's the formation they were flying in, and to me, I love this image, and I have another one or two coming up as well. But I like this image. It's just, I love the way the wings are flapping, like, you know. I'll tell you now what I took that with. ISO 100, f22, 1:8 of a second, and I had a zoom of 200 millimeters. So I did shoot it with the 70-200 2.8 and converted to black and white. Again, another slow shutter speed and the study of gulls. Again, I changed this to black and white. To me, I love it. I love doing this kind of photography. Now, I have entered this in the Nature Photographer of the Year last year, or this year actually. It scored okay. Again, I don't think the judges are into this yet at the moment, but I keep plugging away with this kind of stuff at the moment because I like it. Now, everybody could try it. Again, people mightn't like it to say, well, again, it needs to be sharp, but to me, I don't think so. I like it, and again, if I like it, I don't care about anybody else. The Photographer of the Year was on in 2020, and there was teams in the competition, and I was trolling through some images, put in some birds, and I was shot one image for it, and I said, I'll put this guy in for the laugh, you know, and because to me, like, the way his mouth is open, like, you know, and the eyes look at him, like, you know, look at us, and I said, yeah, I shove him in, like, you know, and see how he gets on, like, sure, just only because I had nothing else to put in. I said, this fella, I couldn't believe it that I got an honourable mention for this guy, and I was thrilled. And when it came up on the screen, a few people laughed, and I was thrilled that a few people giggled and laughed to it. I was happy with that, like, you know. I can't tell you what I took him with because I haven't written it down, but he was one of my images that I entered in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. And we'll get to the next few. And this is another image I entered in the Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. I took this image, I think I took this image in Spain, or butterfly. I like it. His eye is pin sharp. Okay, one of his, what they call him there is like the autofocus, maybe the back leg is autofocus, but once his eye is pin sharp, nice colors. I just slotted him in the Nature Photographer of the Year 2020 this year. Yes, back to Scotland, and squirrel, a red squirrel. This was late in the evening now, and the sun just hit him beautifully. And I was thrilled when I saw this image coming up in the back of the screen in the camera. The lighting was fantastic there, like, you know, it was an evening shot. And I entered that in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020 again, and got a nice score with that. It was a hard competition this year, 2020, but in the next few images, I'll tell you how I got on. This is another image. I took him ISO 200 f8 1:160 at 170 millimeters. A Tammy owl. Beautiful image. I entered that in the SACC. He's pin sharp, and I got a certificate for him. Nice image, well printed. It's beautiful print now. I must say, probably the digital doesn't give it justice, but if I do get up to you sometime, I'll bring on that image on a print. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a harvest mouse. Again, I entered this guy in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. And I took him at ISO 100 f16 1:160th of a second, 90 millimeters. And that won me an honorable mention in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. Yeah, this is another little harvest mouse. Yeah, this guy won me a silver medal in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. That was held in Thurles. And I shot him ISO 200 f13 1:160 at 200 millimeters, and just love the background. Is absolutely stunning. Colors are beautiful, like, you know. Again, probably the digital image doesn't give it justice. Again, I will show this print. It's absolutely a beautiful print. This image is of a praying mantis on a poppy. This image I entered in the SACC Nature Photographer of the Year in the category was invertebrates. And this image got me a gold medal. And actually, I won the overall SACC Nature Photographer of the Year 2020 with this image. And it was a shock. I was thrilled, but a shock, because when I won it in 2017, 2018, I didn't think I'd win it again, because the standard of photography in 2020 was unbelievable. And it was ran this year in a kind of a salons style scoring, like, you know, and I couldn't believe it when my name was called out of the winner of the 2020 Nature Photographer of the Year. Unfortunately, when we went to the finals in Dublin, we didn't get anywhere really, you know, but I was thrilled to win it the second time. For me, it was great. What can I say? This is my last image I'm going to show you tonight. And just to finish up, this is my LIPF panel that I submitted in 2016 and was successful. I was thrilled in the day. There was a lot of competition there to get your L. It has gone harder and harder to get it. But thankfully, I was successful, and it worked out to be one of the best printed panels on the day. That's what the judges said, so I was thrilled with that. And to see my first image there was the interior of an old house with the chair. I've just seen it on the screen already. And the next shot then would be a shot from Fenor, County Clare, seascape. And the third image there would be back in Dingle. I call it the Lone Stone. The next image onto that then is the Sunbeam, which I had nearly got wet, but and the next image back down to the right is another interiors of an old house, and back over to my left hand corner when, as I look at it in my screen, pictures of the bird. Then the next image, actually, I flipped that image to the panning shot because it worked as the cyclist was coming into the image instead of going out. And then the next image then was the surfer. The next one then was the spa house in Mallow in the snow. And the last one then for my L panel, this was actually taken in Mallow train station, and there was a few old trains came to Mallow, and just happened to be passing by, and this guy had his head out the window, and I just photographed him, and it worked well in my panel. Well, I got my LIPF and with it, so I was thrilled, and thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed everything that I showed earlier on, and all the nature and wildlife photographs that I have. And I'd like to thank Tim Murphy for all the help and fairness to him. Now, he sat there with me for the last probably hour and a little bit, and I'd like to thank him for doing this for me. And hopefully you'll enjoy it, and I hope to see you probably in 2021. Thanks very much for looking at all the images, and thanks to Cork Camera Group and Charlie O'Donoghue for inviting me along. And mind yourself and be safe. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Pakie, for that show. That was absolutely fantastic. Some great images. We'll all be out hunting wildlife after this, I'm sure, and buying the big lenses and hiding away in the undergrowth and everything else. Great images, as I say, Pakie, and very enlightening talk. Well done. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll have Pakie back in the club sometime when we get back to our club rooms. I think we'd all love to see some of his print images as well. So in times to come, we'll do this back in the clubhouse again in print format, hopefully. Pakie, thank you very much. So next tonight, Tim is going to give us a presentation on the Shoot at Home challenge. This is the last tutorial in the series for the Shoot at Home. So I think Tim is going to show us some dandelion seed photography here and how he gets some fabulous photographs using dandelions and macro photography and things like that. Keep in mind that the closing date is coming up for that. Please email that Tim sent you, and the inbox is open, as I say. I think it's up to 3 shots per person will be allowed. So, you know, plenty of scope for creativity here. So, as I say, like every other week, I'd encourage everybody to partake in this. It is a bit of fun, you know, and it's nice to see people out doing different things.
Hi and welcome along to the challenge for the shoot at home stuff. So do try and enter, it's a bit of crack, and remember that the closing date is June 2nd and you can submit up to 3 photographs. These photographs should be taken at home or within your 5 kilometer precautionary radius during the time that we've been restricted to home and short walks. So get the shots in, it's a bit of crack and we'll see what it's like. So this idea for shoot at home is shooting dandelions. Lots of ways you can shoot them, and we'll take a look at a few different ways. And as usual, the shots I'll be showing, some of them are just straight out of camera, some of them are processed. You'll find lots of these dandelions around the place, especially if the municipal services haven't arrived yet to cut the lawns and verges and roundabouts in your area. You can find different varieties, and the standard one is that one we'll all be familiar with, the commoner gardener lawn wrecker. This is a different one, it's kind of a higher, skinnier one, and the tops are smaller on it. So you get different varieties of the dandelion seed and dandelion seed heads if you look around. And of course the different heads you get you different type of shots. So to begin with, just to have a look at what we might call a straight shot. So into the sun or with the backlit and vegetation around it, haloed. This is one of those smaller tall ones, and this is the same but with a coloured background behind it. We use a card or another bloom or flower. And of course, once you start spraying some water, all the vegetation and flower images really benefit from this. Use a mister or a spray bottle to get the water on. So for some of those straight shots, some of those images are of that iconic style, straight into the sun, setting sun, so on. And they're easy to do. You can do them with any camera, any lens almost. And you can also put your own stamp on them. So another way just to manipulate those straight shots is to use the dandelion head in front of a scene or a background. So here you see it with a little bit of a river scene in the background, and you can do this easily. Set up on a tripod with your camera, hold the dandelion seed in front of the scene, and then shake it or blow it just to get the movement. And again, adjust your aperture to get the background either in or out of focus, depending on what you want to do. There are other techniques for getting these ones, because with the shaking and blowing, probably you need a good bit of hit and miss to get the shot correct. This particular shot I set up by using a large print in the background. You see the dandelion just kind of stuck up there, and by using a light on the dandelion and optionally a light on the background, you can get different effects. I find you normally need to have some kind of light on the dandelion to get it looking really well. And you see here, I've changed the exposure just to get a little bit more of the background in. So that's one way to get those shots. These ones are done a different way, and I'll show you how that's operated in a moment. So for the seeds flying over an area, we'll take a look at exactly how that's done. So here we've got the setup, which is So that is a piece of glass, and that glass is just held up on a couple of supports, and then on the bottom underneath on the table or the floor or wherever you place a print. The glass back over again. So now if I bring the camera in here, you can see how it's going to operate. You can move the shot underneath the image, the photograph, and of course you can also move around the dandelion and the dandelion seeds to get them into position. I find it helps if you've got a video lamp or some kind of torch, or the light from your phone, and if you try to light up just the dandelion and keeping it off the background. So for that setup, almost any lens will do. So you use a kit lens, you can use a macro lens, whatever kind of gets things in the frame and into focus without any stuff hanging around the outside. For the aperture and shutter speed, so keep your shutter speed, if you're on a tripod, doesn't really matter, you can have it as low as you like. For the f-stop, it's your choice as to whether you want the dandelion and the shot in the background in focus. If you do, so you set kind of a high aperture, so f8, f5.6, something like that. If you want to get the background out of focus, then set a low aperture, so f2.8, f1.4, and so on. Also to accentuate the background out of focus, you can experiment with moving the photograph closer and further away from the glass where the dandelions are. So as a last change in this dandelion seeds floating over a scene idea, just place your tablet or phone or even computer screen underneath that glass with the dandelion on it instead of your print. This has the added advantage of giving the dandelion seeds a little bit of back illumination, and of course you can easily swipe through and choose different photographs that might suit. You can also pinch zoom in and out on the shot to get different effects. So these three were of the same night scene in Cork City as a background, and I just moved my finger around on the screen to get different positions and zoomed in and out to get different bokeh backgrounds. Remember also you can set some plain backgrounds, some neutrals or some skies, so that you can paste these in and composite them later, or just select the seeds easily and drop them into other photographs. If you've always wanted a drone but didn't get one yet, here's a drone simulation idea on my tablet, and the background is Google Maps. So now you can photograph those seeds floating over your very own house. And lastly, just take a look at getting closer to those seeds, getting them on their own, individually or in groups. So with this technique, you kind of need to get close. You really need a macro ideally. Make sure you're introducing water or some backlighting to get the best look on the seed heads or the individual seeds. And then start to get less and less seeds, maybe a group of 3 like this, and then get down to the single individual seed. Here, this one's got the seed, but it's got the big head in the background, just one drop of water in the middle. And these are kind of the classic ones where you just got the single seed head, maybe with just one drop of water, some kind of reflection or refraction or shadow. So this is the setup I use for most of these type of individual shots. It's kind of a simulated softbox. It's a light tent, and just above the light tent is a loft window bringing in outside skylight. On the right hand side of the tent you see a little video light, and that can be a light, a torch, or just the light from your telephone shining across. On the left hand side you can just see a little black smudge, which is actually a reflector, which is on the left hand side bouncing a bit more light in, and you can alternate that side by putting in a black card or black reflector to try some different light effects. On the base in this case is my piece of white perspex, so this allows me to get the kind of shadow effect. There's a technique of putting the dandelion seed into a little dish of water and then shooting the seed with reflections on the water and reflections of flowers in the background on the water. I've done that as well, but I just find this perspex one works better, and it's a bit easier to organize and set up. None of the setup here really is mandatory. You can do it really just by sticking it on a table with some window light, or indeed by using some speed light flashes. But again, I just found that this one got me kind of optimal results. So having things behind the dandelion normally is just to give a background, or to get it reflected in a little bit of water which is held in the dandelion seed itself. So to get the water, you need to use a spray and spray the water on, and to do this you need to spray it just very lightly and basically build up the spray on the dandelion seed. So they're very light and they tend to fall over if you put too much on them at the one time, but building it up gradually is the way to go. You can also use this syringe technique to get a tiny drop of water onto the middle of the dandelion seed. See, the idea is here is that there's just one drop of water. When we use the spray, it'll spray all over and get it on the edges of the seed as well. When you just have one drop, then you can start getting just one drop reflections and so on, and it looks kind of cool. You need something better than this. This is just the syringe. It doesn't actually have the hypodermic needle on the end, but if you get a hypodermic needle, you can drop a very tiny little drop onto the seed. It's a tiny drop, but it's quite large in relation to the seed. It will look like a large ball in the middle of the dandelion seed head when you use your macro lens. And just to take a look at a few of the shots taken with the setups I've described, either the perspex or the water bath. You can ring the changes on these by changing the background, also the size of the water spray, the amount of spray on the dandelion seed head, and indeed changing the dandelion seed head itself and the angle that you've positioned it with. Because you're photographing something small, really close up, your depth of field is going to be terribly small. This doesn't matter all the time, because having some things out of focus does give your shot that kind of atmospheric effect. But trying to get the fronds of the seed head that are at the very front in focus, and keeping focus all the ways to those fronds which are going to be at the back of the seed head, is challenging. You need to do that kind of stuff for this particular type of photograph, which is an attempt to get a refraction of the flower in the background in the one single water drop right in the middle of the dandelion seed head. So the only way to effectively get this really done right is to focus stack the images. So in focus stacking, you can get that done in camera with some cameras, or alternatively you can take the individual shots and put them into your favorite editing program to stack them properly. So here's a sequence of the individual shots being used as a stack, and then we'll see the stacked shot at the end. And finishing up with a couple of sample images. All of these shots are taken with the techniques described or variations thereof. Mostly they're shot with a 60mm macro lens, or some of them I took with Sigma Art 29mm, all of those on Micro Four Thirds sensor. A couple have got the freeze treatment, so the dandelion with water is frozen or slightly frozen, then lit and photographed. Otherwise, it's a question of choosing the seed head, giving it a spray with water or some water drops, lighting it and positioning it against appropriate backgrounds.
So thank you, Tim, for that fantastic presentation. Some great food for thought there again. So we'll be all out with the macro lenses and getting little drops of water and dandelion seeds and God knows what for the next couple of days. So it'll be great to see the results as they come in for that competition. Next week, we have a guest photographer next week. He's a professional photographer based in the UK. His name is Julian Elliott. Now you can, Tim has a note on the screen there where you can pick up his website, but failing that, if you just type in Julian Elliott photographer, I think that will take you to his website. He's I suppose he's a travel stroke landscape photographer. He does a bit of everything actually. Does some outstanding work in Patagonia and in Mongolia and places like that. So he's going to show us some images next week from his travels to these exotic places. So I think we're in for a treat next week. Really looking forward to his presentation, and who knows, maybe we might replace Scotland with Patagonia or Mongolia next year. Who knows what the future will bring for us. So that's it, guys. That's it from us. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you all again next week. All the best, take care, and stay safe.